What's happening, folks? How is that Kraken search coming? You know the giant Kraken under the sea? Anyway, if I were to ask you what the most popular assault rifle was in Battlefield 4, the chances are I already know the answer. After all, the Ace-23 is a bit of a monster even by the M16A3 standards. What if I were to tell you though that there was another assault rifle that has a lot of the benefits of the Ace-23 and is actually pretty overlooked compared to a lot of others? Also, it's just had a small buff since the latest patch, reducing the recoil ever so slightly. And of course I'm talking about the M16A4. Now, this assault rifle doesn't have an auto mode, it's burst fire only, as well as of course having a single fire mode, and it does take some of the similarities from the M16A3 from Battlefield 3, obviously though being a burst fire assault rifle. Now, even though it is burst fire, you can actually burst really fast, and it's all about getting the right rhythm. If you get the right speed, you can fire it really fast and get the benefit of that low fire recoil accuracy. Now, it does a base damage of 30, so if you get 3 hits with a burst, that's around 90 damage. Sure, you're not always going to get hits with all 3 bullets at a time, you know, from a burst, but either way it's still actually pretty hefty in damage terms. One burst to the head can take out an enemy if it's very well placed. Also, because of how fast you can burst fire the gun, it actually has a higher overall rate of fire than the Ace-23. Now, the M16A4 was a decent weapon in itself in Battlefield 3. It wasn't as good as the M16A3, obviously, because that was just the go-to gun, so it wasn't used as much, but it was a very good burst fire equivalent. But now it's had a bit of love in Battlefield 4, and it is really a good weapon. Now, of course, the 16A4 does have some drawbacks. The main one being that if you try to spam the fire too much, it'll kind of sort of jam a little bit. So you really need to get a decent speed going. So I suppose you could look at that as sort of a skill mechanism, really. If you're skilled enough to get a good rhythm and a good aim, this weapon can really work for you. In competitive Battlefield, the SCAR-H and the Ace-52 have recently been banned due to their immense power and the way it was imbalanced in the game. And because of that, the M16A4 has started to be used a lot more prominently. In fact, well before these weapons were banned, one of my teammates from Infuse, Tom, or Phantom, you may have seen him in some of my 5v5 videos, well, he used to use the M16A4 quite a bit, and in fact he was one of the only ones to use it at all. He was kind of forced to stop using it though when everyone started to use the SCAR-H and the Ace-52, because you were at such a disadvantage compared to those weapons. But now they are banned, it's once again quite a valid choice. Now, usually I am not a big fan of burst fire weapons. I guess it's because I just like to hold mouse 1, and don't we all on occasions? But I have slowly started to use this weapon a little bit more, and I am really seeing the benefits of doing it. I think for me it's going to be a map based thing. So some maps I'll use the Ace-23, and sometimes I'll use the 16A4, and I'm going to see how that goes. It's kind of a different kettle of fish for me because I play so many 5v5s. It's a far different environment using a weapon in a competitive environment than it is on public. On public, you've got a vast variety of weapons coming at you, support guns, snipers, recons, etc. On competitive, it's all about ensuring you're on a level playing field. You don't want a weapon that gives you a disadvantage against your opponent. Now, the M16A4 is a very good rifle, but unless you use it correctly and you get that timing, it is more of a disadvantage than it is an advantage. If you can get the rhythm though, then you can really do some damage with it. I tend to use it with just a laser sight and an angled grip, nothing else, but that may change depending on how much I use it and get a feel for it and play around with the attachments to see what works best for me. So give it a go, and remember, my friend Tom was the one that was using this gun well before it was cool to do so. So when it becomes the next big thing, it's him we thank. As always guys, thanks for watching, and please tune in again next time.